Let's bring in our next guest analyst. It's going to be Mr. Craig Bolanos. He's co-founder and wealth manager at VestGen Wealth Partners up in Chicago. Craig, thanks for taking the time on a Friday morning.
Hey, good morning and a happy Friday. Scott, where's my jobs report? Oh, I guess I don't have one yet again. I've been through 21 government shutdowns now in my lifetime. Is this one different? I don't think so, but it's not going to be the garden variety 8 days, I'll tell you that. This might be reminiscent of 1819 when we keep this thing locked down for basically a month.
Yeah, 2018, 2019, not 1819. Yeah, you're right. And I think the markets are looking through it already, though. At least that's what it feels like with the equities. What do you think?
Well, clearly. I mean, I just said I've had 21 government shutdowns in my lifetime already, and all of them haven't amounted to much more than a speed bump. But they've only been a speed bump because we've always been able to coalesce prior to literally breaking an axle, not just getting a flat tire. And that's exactly what I hope is going to happen here, because we need them to coalesce. I need my Fed to have data. I need to find out where the jobs are, assuming the jobs are being counted right. But I was less than inspired when I got that payroll number on Wednesday from our private company here in Chicago.
Yeah, ADP number. Don't you think that that's going to start to be a little bit more important than the BLS until we get some positive, well, at least some clarity or at least some confidence coming out of the BLS? I know EJ Antoni, they've pulled back his nomination. He couldn't get anybody to talk to him, so they're going to have to try somebody else. I think that they thought he was probably too conservative. But that whole area of the government, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they need a shot in the arm. They need to give us some confidence.
They do. So, I mean, obviously, when you lose one source of data, the remaining source of data becomes that much more important. And I think the language everyone's been using all through 2025 is low hire, low fire. I see, or I worry with trepidation, that we're not in a low hire, low fire. I think we're in a no hire, low fire, and that's why I think this headline unemployment rate is going to tick up to 4.5% before people know it. Now, I think 4.5%, we're still fine. I think if we're having jobless claims staying under 260, I'm going to be fine. But you start putting a 300 on that number, you start putting a 4.5 on that number, wow, I get nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, Scott.
Yeah, that 18 to 26-year-old unemployment rate, we're at 4.3% for the country, but they're at 10.1% actually. I don't know if you've heard or seen anything anecdotally that would suggest or at least support that, because I know you've got some younger folks in your household or maybe just outside the household. I mean, are you hearing stories that it's tough to get a job coming out of school now?
I'm chomping at the bit. You can't make this up. Shout out to all the Alabama fans out there. Roll Tide. We're going to get revenge on Vanderbilt this Saturday. But I know two kids, they are not my kids, but two kids who actually wrapped up contract employment in April prior to graduating in May. One was set to start in June. The other was set to start the Monday following the 4th of July. Both of them had their start dates pushed back until August, and both of them, Scott, this is not a hyperbole, both of them just before Q3, the end of September 30th, were notified that they actually weren't going to be brought on. So here are two kids waiting to conquer the world who secured jobs in April, ready to start in June and July, pushed back to August, and they never even got the chance coming into the end of September. That explains the woeful, dismal jobs outlook for those who are graduating from universities now or just did this spring.
I heard the same stories, and I heard worse, where kids actually signed up for leases in different cities that they got the jobs in, and once they moved in, they were pushed off 6 months, and that was okay. They worked at a bar or did whatever they had to do to pay the bills. But then when it finally came, push came to shove, those offers were rescinded, and now they're stuck in a city that they didn't need to be in without that job, and they've got 6 more months left on their lease. I've heard a few of those stories too. So I totally agree with what you're talking about, and I feel like that's the situation now. The thing about it is that we've got a 3.8 GDP, we've got great earnings. Our unemployment rate is 4.3%. When I went to school, I'm a little older than you, Craig, but it was always 5% was considered peak employment. So there is good news out there, but I definitely feel like we're slowing down and we're getting soft in some places. And maybe it's spotty and maybe it's only anecdotal. I don't know, but we'll wait and see when we get some numbers back from the government. But I couldn't agree more with your story, and I think that that's absolutely the case.
No, it is. And just, the biggest danger, if I get the platform, I want to say it again. We had the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I'm excited. Every business owner's got depreciation again. Everyone over the 65, if you qualify, you got a $6,000 deduction. No tax on overtime, no tax on tip. That means stimulus. You put stimulus on top of the Fed rate cuts, that's another form of stimulus. We got monetary, we got fiscal. And I think the danger we run, once again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could, is we can have 2 more rate cuts this year, yet see the 10-year Treasury continue to elevate higher, and everybody looking to refinance their house is going to be scratching their head saying, wait a second, we had rate cuts, yet yields went higher. That is a danger and a prescription in this market that needs more of a voice, and people should be looking at position around it.
Yeah, well, when we got that mortgage rate went down to a 3-year low, I think like 603, we had a bunch of people that took out mortgages there, and then it squeezed back. That's the 30-year I'm talking about, squeezed back higher. And you're right, that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on, too, because that 10-year yield, after the Fed cut rates, it went from 4% to 4.2% pretty quickly. Now it's kind of settled back in around that 4.10%. I haven't looked this morning, but it was definitely around 408 yesterday. Right now it is 409. So there you go, 409 in that 10-year yield, but it's still about 10 basis points higher than it was before we cut the rate. So it's not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of folks out there. Love having you on for a Friday morning, Craig. Great stuff. Have a great weekend. You had great content. See you on the other side, on the TV side. Appreciate all your efforts. That's Craig Bolanos. He's a co-founder and a wealth partner at VestGen Wealth Partners up in Chicago. We're going to go away. Give us a call, 855-776-6147, 855-776-6147. We're going to pay some bills, and we're going to come back and talk more right after this.
Howdy, folks. I'm Parker James, host of The Greenhorn. If you can't tell by the name of the show, I'm no expert. Quite the opposite. That's why I'm interviewing the best of the best in all sectors of agriculture, asking the questions you've always wondered but were too embarrassed to ask. From ag state politicians like Senate Majority Leader John Thune,
sure was very educational,
to legendary voices of the past like Max Armstrong and everyone in between.
Where do I start?
Make sure to tune in daily on SiriusXM 147 or on your hometown radio station.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us here on Rural Radio, channel 147 on SiriusXM. I'm meteorologist Jeff Wellback here across northern Nevada on up through Oregon here into central Idaho, western Montana. Some rain trying to move in. That's along this cold front that's bringing a good replenishment of some moisture here across the drier patches in northern Nevada. That'll come into northern Utah and western Colorado by the time we get late tonight now into early Saturday is how that's looking to play out. We're watching the evolution of this cold front that's going to dig down our way off that cool pool off of the northwest, gets into the northern plains, creates some wind by Sunday. Now that paves the way for that stronger set of storms that we're looking at Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, a couple of things. It's a pretty long cold front, okay, that's going to stretch from the South Plains into the eastern belt here. So that means it'll move a little bit slower, so it'll be capable of areas of heavy rain, but probably not as severe as it loses a little bit of its punch as it comes our direction. Now, midweek and next week, parts of the mid-south will get some storms, clear up to West Virginia and around the Appalachians